So when the church had the opportunity to, or took the opportunity to say they wanted to commission a piece, there was no question about who I wanted to talk to about this commissioning. And we had the pleasure of working together once before on a commission when I was working with Oklahoma Baptist Symphony, and did a tremendous job with that. And so I was really excited that Dan was going to take this on. And we took a long time kind of kicking around ideas about what this would be about and what this piece would be. And then, and Dan was very patient with me as I kind of worked my way through ideas and throw different things his way. And I know there were a couple times he's like, that's not going to work. Just leave it alone. But finally came across My Faith Looks Up to Thee. And the hymn tune to My Faith Looks Up to Thee is the Olivet hymn tune. The Olivet hymn tune was written by Lowell Mason. Now, for those, many of us may not know how incredibly important that name is, not only in church music, but also in American music education. Lowell Mason is largely considered to be the father of American music education. He was the first person to put music in public schools in Boston. And he was, at the time, the chairman and chief conductor of the Haydn and Handel Society in Boston, and decided that we needed to help people learn how to sing better. And so why not put music into public schools and to help us be able to do that? And he did that, and he brought that along, and the pedagogies that he used and that he brought to American music education from Europe were tremendous, and still the foundations on which we build much of what we do in public school music education these days. So when we brought these two things together, okay, this wonderful hymn tune and the fact that it was written by a public music educator, that spoke to my life and spoke to who I am. And so I handed that off to Dan, and now I'm going to hand this to him and let him think a little bit about that project of how you bring this to life.
My Faith Looks Up to Thee. Mike talked a little bit about the history and the composer. From my perspective, wanting to dig into the text and the idea of what does this hymn represents. And for me, faith is a complex subject, because faith doesn't always change our circumstances, but it always brings about transformation in our lives. You know, I've dealt with severe depression in my life, but faith brought me joy. My happenstance, what was happening, didn't bring me happiness, but I had the joy of the Lord. And being in a difficult, cutthroat musical industry, there are times where I've envied other people. And God used faith to transform that into gratitude. When you have an attitude of gratitude, you're thankful for everything that you have. You're not focused on what you don't have. And so this hymn talks about how faith transforms our lives. As we gaze upon our Savior on the cross, we realize that He is transforming everything in our lives. There isn't a situation or a circumstance that we can find ourselves in that can't be redeemed by the Redeemer. There is not a sin, there is not an affliction that cannot be liberated by the work of Jesus Christ on the cross and through the power of His resurrection. My wife has chronic leukemia. Her circumstances haven't changed. But through faith, God has given her the strength and the courage and the power to be a mother, a wife, and to continue teaching in a way that she has not missed a single day or abdicated any of her opportunities to fulfill those God-given roles in her life, even though the leukemia is still there. So I hope as you listen to the ideas and the words of this hymn, that your faith looks up to the author and perfecter of our faith, who is Jesus Christ. Because you're going to hear the juxtaposition of the tension between the world which we occupy and the kingdom that is being manifested through faith. My faith looks up to thee.